everyone and welcome back to Football Manager 2018 and a brand new experiment where we're taking a look at what would happen if you gave a non-league team the perfect shell to build the club and climb up the football pyramid. Now we're starting at the bottom here with Harrogate Town in the Vanarama National League North. They're a team that has bounced around and flirted with relegation actually a while back, but they've been in this league for some time, going back to 04-05. And we're going to try and get them back up the league table rather, and hopefully get them into the Premier League. And the way we're going to do that is by giving them maximum everything except for cash. Now we are going to affect the cash a little bit. They are going to have a sugar daddy owner, but that can vary depending on what the attributes of the chairman actually are, and that is something I haven't changed. But they've got worldwide reputation, which is why I felt I needed to give them the sugar daddy owners, because otherwise they're going to go bust very, very quickly. We've given them a 150,000 seater stadium, which they'll be selling out week in, week out, which will help them with financial fair play quite a bit because they'll be able to pull in the fans. And we can also just have a quick look at what else we've changed here. You can see maximum everything there. Finances exactly where they left off. You can see they've got 50 grand in the bank at the minute. No transfer budget, no real wage budget. But their facilities are perfect. Training, youth, junior coaching, youth recruitment, which will be interesting to track as we go forward. And they've got perfect corporate facilities, which will help bring in more revenue, because financial fair play is a major hindrance when you're doing an experiment like this. They've got a grass surface, roof, undersoil heating all there as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they manage to develop going forward with all these perfect facilities. Usually they have a quick rise and then they level off around the Championship, I would guess. I'm hoping that with the sugar daddy owner they'll be able to make it into the Premier League. But there could be a change in ownership, or it might not be enough money to keep up with financial fair play. So I'm not sure where this is going to end out. But let me know in the comments where you think they will level out, and what you think the highest trophy they're going to win is through this experiment. Don't forget to drop a like on the video as well if you want to see more experiments like this. And if you've got ideas for experiments, let me know down in the comments and I'll see what I can do. But let's go forward 1 year in time and see if they've managed to progress. Well, we are now 1 year in the future, and as you can see, they haven't actually been promoted. They have got Brian McDermott in charge, which is quite interesting, given they've got perfect reputation. Not the biggest name in football, but certainly a big name for the 7th, I think, tier of English football. They've also now got rich finances, which is quite interesting. But let's have a look at that senior squad schedule for last season, and you can see they're not out of the Vanarama National League, which is a real disappointment. They did start off very, very well before a rough patch of form that turned really bad around this stage of the season. They did manage to get to the FA Cup first round, but were ultimately beaten. Then they had a bit of a recovery. I assume Brian McDermott came in around this point. Good charge, got them to the playoffs, won 3-0 against Stockport, but then lost in the semi-finals on penalty to Blythe Spartans. So not the best results there. If we just have a quick look at their finances, then you can see they have got a lot of money in the bank now. Some of this will be stadium gate receipts, some of it will be the front end sugar daddy owner, but generally they're doing very, very well financially for a non-league team. That is going to be a massive help for them as they charge up the table, but that will only get them so far. A sugar daddy owner in this game only gets you so far, so it'll be interesting to see when they do bottom out. But let's go forward another year and hopefully they will have spent a bit more money, because if we have a quick look at the transfers here, they've spent money already this summer, but last season they did not spend much at all because the money wasn't in their budgets. But they've already had big outlays, and we're only halfway through June, or just at the end of June now, and they spent £800,000 already. Well, as you can see, they are right at the top of the league here already. So if we have a look at that schedule last season as the first order of business, they started off incredibly well. A difficult pre-season, but they were playing very, very big teams because of their high reputation. But then an excellent start to the season, went through in the FA Cup first round as well, lost to Salford in the league, but beat Sutton in the FA Cup second round, so they made it all the way to the FA Cup third round, where they beat Sheffield United 1-0 away from home. Sensational result there. Into the FA Trophy second round, won that game, but lost to Spurs, only 2-0 away from home. Harry Kane getting both goals there. Continued to charge in the FA Trophy, went through on penalties. I mean, this is an imperious run of form, and ultimately lost the FA Trophy final 2-1 to a 78th minute goal, but an excellent league performance. Saw them win the league, presumably in a quite convincing fashion. If we drop down and have a look at how far ahead they finished last season, you can see they finished nearly 20 points clear of Salford, one of the teams that beat them in the league season, but an absolutely dominating charge up the league table and into the next division. You can also see they've got Adama Traore in the club. Their worldwide reputation is still intact, but has dropped down, and you can see here they've lost now 1,000 reputation points, down to below 9,000 now, and their club attendance is now up at 152,000. It's exceeded the maximum. The maximum is 150, and it's exceeded it somehow. And they've got an awful lot of cash now, maybe an extra 13 million on top of what they had before. And their training facilities have dropped down to a 19. It'll be interesting to see if they plummet much more. But overall, they're doing incredibly well at the moment. If we go back and look, they spent £11 million in the end last summer. That is a huge amount of money. 3 million on Courtney House, 2.6 million on James Bree. They're signed Lucas Pearson from Chelsea. I mean, they're not exactly signing young, unheard of players. He's 25 years old now. If we look at his career stats last season, he only got one goal, but only played 7 league games, dropping down from the Championship there, and not able to cut the mustard, which is really quite surprising. Other big names in here: Adam King from Swansea. Not too many there, but they've already this season spent £12 million. And you can imagine there's a lot more coming. Adama Traore being pulled in is a huge one from Middlesbrough. 2 players from Middlesbrough there. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on. But we're going to go forward 2 years now. So hopefully we will see them not just out of the Vanarama National League, but also possibly up to League One. Well, I wasn't wrong with my guess. They have made it all the way up to League One. 2 consecutive first-placed finishes. But you can see their finances now only secure. The money finally catching up with them. But they've got Simon Mignolet as their key player now. If we have a look at their schedule over the last 2 seasons and see how they managed to get on. First up in the Vanarama National, a sensational start to the season. Through in the FA Cup first round and the second round. Through in the FA Trophy, won in the third round against Blackburn again. Can they get past the fourth round this time? They can. They beat Premier League Stoke 1-0 at home in front of 146,000 fans before losing to Newcastle in the third round. 3 goals in 90 minutes was the end of them. They made a spirited comeback, but it was not enough. And ultimately, they did manage to win the FA Trophy this time against Leyton Orient, their first piece of silverware through cup competitions anyway. They've obviously won a couple of league titles at this point, but that means they did the double that season. And if we go forward and have a look at last season, their first season in professional football, or professional league football, and you can see here that they got off to a very good start. Out of the Carabao Cup for the first time, Vaskin against Derby though. Doom won the Checker Trade Trophy. I mean, this is a sensational run of form. Beating Oxford 2-0, Exeter in the FA Cup third round, beat Cambridge 2-0 in the fourth round, and then lost to Liverpool 1-0. Divock Origi with the goal. Through to the semi-final and won the Checker Trade Trophy as well to add to their FA Trophy. So 2 trophies from cup competitions now in the bag, including alongside 3 league titles as well. So they are racking up the silverware. If we look at their transfer history for the last couple of seasons, and you can see they spent £39.5 million. That is a huge amount of money in the Vanarama National League. We already saw they brought in some very big name players, but they signed Ben Osborne for £7 million. We already knew about Traore. Sam Vokes has come in. George Long's in there. Just so many big players coming in. And then the following season, just 4.2 million with a lot of players going out as well. Simon Mignolet only cost him 4.7 million. But they've already spent 12 million so far this season with James Ward-Prowse, one of the big names, coming in. So they are signing very big players at this point to try and get themselves up the tables. And you can see their reputation at £8,500, 8,500 there. Club attendance has gone up even further to 155,000. So they can't fit all of their fans in, but their sugar daddy has dropped back to a back end one, which is why the money is starting to dry up, and that's going to be something we need to keep an eye on. They are still bringing in plenty of cash at the moment. They've got £10 million actually, not as much as I thought it would be. Given their transfer budget is actually bigger than the amount of money they have in their bank balance, and the wage budget is huge for this level. £3.1 million wage budget in League One. So at some point they're going to hit a critical mass, and let me know when you think that's going to happen. Is it going to happen in League One, or is it going to happen in the Championship? It's going to happen somewhere soon. So drop a like on this video if you're enjoying this experiment. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see anything else, or if you think I missed anything, and I'll go back and take a look at it next time. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see the next part of this in a few days' time, but until next time, see ya!